Welcome to Dropping In, a podcast of storytelling and interviews with your host, Winter Olympian Mercedes Nicoll.
Thank you so much for dropping in today. I'm your host, Mercedes Nicoll, and throughout dropping in, I'm pretty unapologetically myself. I'm pretty authentic, and I thought it seemed like a good fit to team up with the company called Sway, a brand built on purpose, committed to supporting communities and charities across Canada. I've chosen a cause that is dear to me, Can Fund, who directly supports Team Canada athletes, which seemed like a good fit as this whole series is about Team Canada athletes. And Sway will be making a donation on my behalf to Can Fund. Sway is made with real juice and real good vibes. It's a delicious tasting vodka soda with nothing to hide. This is a special series where I have a co-host. Olympian Martha McCabe will be joining me through these 10 episodes as we chat with Team Canada athletes that could potentially be going to the Tokyo Games. Let me introduce the sport and guests that we will be dropping in with today. This sport requires power, endurance, and mental toughness. This competitive sport can be traced to the early 17th century and is one of the oldest Olympic sports. Though it was set to be in the program of the Games in 1896, the racing did not take place that year due to bad weather. So, the males have competed in the Olympics since the 1900s. The women's division was added to the Olympics a fair few years later in 1976. Today, there are 14 boat classes which race at the Olympics. This sport is a race where athletes use oars that are locked onto the boat. Team Canada will be sending 29 of these athletes to Tokyo this summer. Some will be sweep rowing, where each rower has one oar in both hands. The others will be sculling, where each rower has two oars, one in each hand. Now, the length of a rowing race at the Olympics is 2,000 meters. The guest that we will be dropping in with today has a degree in geography from the University of Washington. He can backflip on skis. He's raced the men's 4 rowing for Team Canada, placing 6th place at the Rio Games. And in 2016 in Toronto, at the Pan American Games, he took home not 1, but 2 gold medals in the men's 4 and then 1 for the men's 8. He took home a silver medal in the men's 8 at the 2012 London Games. And while I was qualifying for the 2018 Winter Olympics, he was taking a year off to ski in my backyard, Whistler. As well, he was training to become a firefighter. Now, this son, friend, RBC Olympian, 2-time Pan American champion, world champion medalist, is going to his 3rd Olympics this summer. Let's see how Will Crothers is doing. Will Crothers, are you ready to drop in?
I am ready to drop in.
Okay, it's so
Let's
good to
do
see
it.
you. Number 1, where in the world are you today?
I'm sitting in my bedroom in Victoria, BC. I live in a little barn in the woods, about 15 minutes away from the lake where we train. So pretty nice little spot.
Amazing.
Yeah, big red barn.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump in with question 2 already.
All right.
You've obviously traveled the world a ton with rowing and sport. You've seen a lot of different boathouses.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite spot or boathouse or?
Favorite boathouse has got to be the University of Washington's boathouse where I went to school. It's just an incredible, brand new facility. When I went there, it was cool because it was just being built when I was on my recruiting trip. So I kind of got to see the shell of it as it was being thrown together. And then when I got there, it was all brand new and just an unbelievable place to, train and they also had all of the academic services stuff there, and all of the athletes ate in this giant cafeteria above the boat bays. So you'd have like football players and track athletes and rowers and volleyball players and baseball players all coming to the boathouse as this like spot to kind of hang out and eat. So it was just a great vibe there all the time.
Cool.
Yeah, it was super cool, super lucky.
Sounds like a mini Olympics.
Yeah, it kind of has that vibe actually, as when you're hanging out in the village and there's all sorts of different people there. As for my favorite place to row, it would probably be Bled, Slovenia. It is like a fairy tale there. You're literally rowing, down the course, and there's like a fairy tale castle up on this hill that overlooks the course. And then there's this island, which I just learned is actually the only island in the whole country. I don't know, that might be wrong. That's secondhand knowledge to me, but there's this island that's right beside the course that has this beautiful old monastery on it, and you can kind of like swim out to it, but you race right past it. And then all the hotels are right at the start line of the course, so you can be in your hotel watching other races happening, and then the finish line has like a beer garden, and so it's just another unbelievable place to go and race. And it's for the spectators.
Was that Slovenia?
Slovenia, yeah.
Slovenia.
Yeah, a place called Bled.
Bled,
Cool.
like you're bleeding?
Yeah, but BLED.
BLED. Cool.
Yeah.
So cool. You're gonna have to send me some photos from that. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, number 3. You seem to do all the sports. So if you had to choose one summer sport and one winter sport, what would they be?
Like for Olympic Games or just
Fun. For fun.
For fun.
Yeah.
Totally different than the Olympic Games.
Would you still choose rowing?
Yeah, for fun. Let's see. I think right now, just like summer sport, me and the guys have been just really into playing ultimate frisbee.
Nice.
And because we were kind of stuck in quarantine, but we had a frisbee, so we could just be hanging out on the front lawn of our hotel tossing the disc around, which was great. And then I love that feeling of you feel like you've mastered flight when you just like throw a beautiful disc to somebody.
You might.
Yeah.
Me per se, I don't do that. I'm like, oh God, I have to walk so far now.
Yeah. No, I feel like you're like an aerospace engineer every time you let go of the disc. So it's just nice. It's a nice feeling. And then I guess winter, I think skiing now might be the top one for me, which is, I'm sorry, Mercedes, I was a snowboarder growing up my whole life and kind of took it up when I moved to Whistler skiing.
As long as you're in the mountains, I don't care.
Yeah. It's also like hockey is like a close second because pond hockey is just so much fun.
So much fun.
Yeah.
True. Good choice.
Well, what is it? Is it just like downhill skiing? Is it flying down the mountain? Is it doing jumps? What is it?
I think it's just a little bit of everything. You get out there in the mountains with your friends. You're all sitting around a booter, egging each other on to do something bigger.
Oh, it's the drinking beer part and then doing jumps, isn't it?
Fireball whiskey, actually.
Oh, sorry. Good call. Smaller packaging, easier to fit in the pocket.
Yeah. And then I don't know, flying down hills is pretty sick too, like carving up some fresh corduroy, as they say.
How many backflips did you do when you moved out here?
I don't know, like definitely a fair few. Once I landed the first one, it was all I wanted to do, so I'd always try to end my day over in Booterville on Blackcomb there, and I would just go hit some big jumps and try to just get better at sticking the landing, so that hopefully one day I can just throw them down wherever I want, because it's such a fun feeling.
I was jealous that you were here in Whistler and I was like training for the next games, and I was like, he's living the life that I would like to be doing, and this is like my most strenuous point of my life again.
Well, Now the roles have been
The
flipped.
roles
so-
are reversed. I'm now playing golf, and you are game on. I love
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Amazing. Okay, question 4. So drug testing. I'm making a guess here that you get drug tested a fair amount, but you tell me, like, do you? And do they just show up at practice, or any crazy weird stories about drug testing experiences you've had?
Trying to think. I do get drug tested quite a bit. Actually, this year has been crazy for it. It seems like I got drug tested like once a week for a little while. It seemed. I think I got drug tested 5 times over 6 weeks at one point. Like
Wow.
when we were leading into our qualifier, it was just crazy. But yeah, they show up at home, at training. But yeah, you guys know about the guaranteed testing slot and stuff, but
Yeah.
mine is always set from. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna ask if you could just like explain for the listeners how drug
Oh,
testing
yeah.
works, because they might not know.
Okay, yeah. So you have to fill out your whereabouts, is what it's called, and you have to tell them where your overnight accommodation is, and then you have to say, like, I guarantee that I will be at this location for a 1-hour period so that they can come and test you no matter what at that time. So typically, I think athletes put it early in the morning because they figure they'll still be in bed at that time. And it's kind of the one thing you can guarantee an athlete needs is rest. And so, yeah, mine's like 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. I think it's early enough that they never want to come at that time because they always
They
They
came
always
to
come.
me
Oh
at
yeah,
5 a.m. But I
yeah,
want to
Yeah, me
hear your
too.
stories.
but yeah, they do occasionally come then, but I think they always try to get me around like 8:30 before I'm going to sleep.
Oh, at
But
night.
yeah,
Interesting.
and then it's the worst when they get you in the morning and you've just gone to the washroom and then you
Yeah.
have to sit there drinking water and you're going to be late for practice and yada yada yada.
Yeah. And then, so for the listeners, when you do get drug tested, obviously there's like a person that is there watching you take
Yes,
a
your
pee, and
chaperone.
then
Yeah,
your shirt is like just above your
yeah,
nipples, I guess, and then below
yeah,
your knees.
yeah. It's pretty funny.
Super invasive. But
Yeah,
that's what you get for being an athlete.
yeah, they're definitely in your bubble at that point. It was actually pretty funny. There was one time they came and it was just for blood because they do blood sampling and urine sampling. And but the guy was just on autopilot and didn't tell me that it was just blood. So we just went through the whole thing to do the urine sample. And, I peed in the cup, brought it up. We're, doing all the stuff with the jars that you seal it off in and send it away. And then he's like, oh, actually, we're not doing urine. And I'm like,
No.
yeah.
The
And so
hell?
we had to then go through this whole process of like properly disposing of the urine because they don't want you to seal it and keep it for later or something. I don't know, but it was a new experience. Yeah. But it was pretty funny because he was just on autopilot. But we always get the same people, so
Yeah.
I'm never mad at them. They're always really nice to us.
And they volunteer.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know, it's crazy.
It's such a weird job to volunteer for.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, you can't be mad. I've had them come at Christmas in Toronto at my hotel at like 5 a.m. where I'd had drinks before and I probably just went to bed, and they're like, we're here. And I was like,
Yeah.
well, I'll just put a bra and some underwear on, so
Yeah,
because you're gonna see everything anyway.
Yeah.
Poor people.
Why do you think they were testing you so much? Is it because you think maybe you took that break for a couple of years, or just randomly, or?
I don't know. I think sometimes it's just, your number just comes up. But like there's also multiple organizations that can request it. Like FISA can request it, Rowing Canada can request it, and WADA can request it, and CCS can request it.
Yeah.
So it might have just been, a number of different people putting in the we need Will Crothers urine request.
Were like all the rowers, or was it just you singled out? You're like, here we go.
A few of them were getting tested for sure, but it was like nobody was getting tested as much as I was in that moment, I don't think, or I didn't hear about it anyway. But usually we're all, in comms with each other, and we're like, oh, drug testers are on the move.
Yeah, and then
know.
Oh, unlucky you.
Yeah.
Drug testing,
But
the not glamorous parts of being an athlete.
yeah, happy to have a clean sport though. So it's a
Totally.
give and take.
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, number 5. I know you train a lot.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. I mean, I read the book about rowing that, oh gosh, what's his
The
name?
boys in the boat.
No, 4-year Olympian.
Sure.
Oh yeah, Jeremiah Brown.
Yeah, his book. And I was like, damn, I chose the right sport.
Yeah. Damn, I chose the wrong sport.
Yeah, you can go back for more. Just for people that may have not read about rowing or know too much about rowing, can you explain how much and often you train?
Yeah, I mean, so rowing's a power endurance sport, so it's a unique one where you you're going really hard all the time, and you have to train that ability over and over and over again, because when you get to the line in Tokyo or wherever, it's kind of like a pain contest between all the boats, and you kind of see who's wasted the most time over the winter, I guess. To quote Colin McCabe on that one, that was his quote. But yeah, so it's power endurance sport. It's essentially like doing a power clean in the boat. You have about 220 power clean opportunities in a men's 4 race, which is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And yeah, you have to train long hours because you're building up this super big cardiovascular base, and so that then you can stack that anaerobic on top of it. So your body's ability to get rid of lactic acid through the bloodstream and your oxygen carrying capacity are all very important in rowing. So yeah, we just train crazy long hours, and then there's a big part of it is the technical part as well, where you're just making these small changes every stroke to try to get the boat running just perfectly and kind of uninterrupted. And so it takes, I remember my high school coach telling me it takes 5,000 strokes to make a technical change. And so it also takes a long time just to perfect that stroke. And so everybody's sort of chasing that feeling, as well as, keeping the heart rate up, keeping the power up, and trying to keep the boat humming along. Yeah, it's exhausting.
But are you in like the gym all the time? Are you just on the rowing machine? Or like, I've never seen you guys train, and how often are you on the water?
We're on the water every morning.
Okay.
Except Sunday morning. Sundays we get off, although we haven't had a day off now in like 2 weeks, which is getting to be a little something.
You're fine. I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, so we're on the water every morning, and then we do have some dry land training where we go and lift weights or sit on the rowing machines. And it's good to have a balance of that, because you have to be on the water to obviously work on the rowing stroke, but it's nice to be off the water and just looking only at the numbers of your performance, as far as your just physical output. And it's also nice because the coach can get right down beside you and help you make some changes if you need to.
Right.
And then the weightlifting as well is pretty important, because you got to be strong as well as fit. So
how are your hands?
They're actually really good right now.
They're not. Oh.
Wow.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So that's like
a lot of calluses on there,
like
but
a fistful of calluses is what I'm seeing.
But yeah, they're actually in really good shape right now.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no open wounds.
Yeah, but that's kind of the way that it, like I've always found after 4 years, you've kind of like figured it out and your hands are used to it, and it's kind of a nice feeling getting to that point. Obviously, you don't have big cracks and blisters and all that stuff.
Fair. I was like, it's a great feeling having massive calluses on your hands,
Yeah.
but it would be better than broken wounds.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
I like to think of it as, you're kind of honing a weapon to get ready to fight. And like, you start out with this rugged piece of steel or something, and you're just hammering away at it for 4 years until you get it to this nice fine tipped spear, and then you get to go to war with it.
This will be your third games. I always like think it's so much of your life, but it does
Yeah.
go by quickly. Do you
Yeah, it's crazy.
for me it was like I kind of forgot how hard it was to qualify, but for you, or you know what you're getting yourself into, right?
Yeah, to a certain extent. Like, I mean, I know the work that needs to be done. And I mean, this go around was the hardest to qualify for us. Like, we actually just qualified at the last chance qualifier, aka the race of death, um, where two crews go on to the Olympics, basically, because usually you would try to qualify the year before at the World Championships.
Yeah.
And we had a relatively fresh group of guys in an 8, and although I think we probably, could have taken that 8 and qualified it at the last chance qualifier, we went through basically a period where like a lot of the athletes got cut based off of a result at the national championships that we were, thinking wasn't as important as it was, and we're all returning from training or from our break, and yeah, our team sort of got slashed apart, which was really brutal. A lot of guys got cut. And so then we had this smaller group go into a 4, or, trying to build a 4 and then qualify that 4 at the last chance qualifier. So this was by far the most stressful period of qualifying that I've had in my 4 years, or my, 10 years here at the training
16
center.
years.
Yeah, 20 years of
Forever.
rowing. Yeah. So
decades.
yeah, it was super stressful, especially because we had selected our boat, and then half of the boat broke ribs. And so you can break ribs in rowing because basically it's an overuse injury, and your ribs are supposed to move normally, but if you get a lot of tension, then the ribs stop moving, and then you can actually fracture those ribs.
Is it because you're so strong? You're too strong?
I guess you could say that,
You're like too strong. You broke your own ribs with your abs.
We'll say that,
yeah.
just so people think rowing is really crazy. Yeah, we're too strong, but really, like the ribs are supposed to move, but then when you are training a lot and you get a lot of tension in your body, just like any sport, when you're training, like overusing it, then that's when you get into the risky situations and can break ribs or blow a disc or something. So
2 of the guys in your boat broke ribs?
Yeah, so they broke ribs about 6 weeks out from our qualifier, and they were a week. Yeah, they're real great. And a bone takes about 6 weeks to heal, so we had 2 guys go down a week apart, and so it immediately became just incredibly stressful.
Yeah.
And luckily we had 2 spares, and they jumped into the boat, and we were able to push the project along while those guys healed up. Unfortunately, only one of the guys got back in time, and we kind of had like a bit of seat racing at this race series that we did, which is sort of like an in-house race against each other. And so yeah, basically one of the guys just didn't have enough time and wasn't healthy enough to train, so he trained for 4 years only to break a rib in the final 5 weeks.
And would he have been a rookie as well? Because the 3 other guys in your boat are rookies for the Olympics, right?
Yeah, they've never been. He was also a fresh face for the Olympics. So, but he's got he's got big dreams, and he wants to come back and go to France in 2024. So
cool.
Yeah, but it was uber stressful, and luckily we were able to push on and get the job done.
I'm so proud of you. I was like jumping up for joy when I heard that you qualified. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Because I know, like, it's so stressful.
Oh man, it was crazy.
Wild.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Kate, I know I've hung out with you rowers like a fair amount, and I've seen what you guys eat, and it's insane. But just the sheer quantity is hilarious. But after like a long day of training for you, a big training day, what's your go-to meal? And I kind of think it's like go-to meals
Yeah,
Well, how much
there's
do you
definitely
eat? I
eat
don't
like
know how much you eat. How much do you eat?
yeah, I mean, it varies depending on the athlete, but it's like anywhere between like 5,000 calories up to close to 10,000 calories a day. So yeah, I'm someone who's
Listeners, do not do that. Don't do
yeah,
that.
yeah. I'm probably like on the lower end, and I probably like I know at rest, I've done my like what's it called? It's a test where they just test your resting metabolic rate, and I'm required to have like 2,600 calories if I'm just laying in bed all day, basically. So then we go out and we add, maybe 3 to 5 hours of training depending on the day, and then before you know it, you're over 5,000 calories. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of food.
Wow.
It's a lot of
what's the easiest thing for you to make, or do you have food do you have chefs?
We're actually super fortunate right now. We do have a breakfast program. So after our first breakfast, we finish practice and we go get another breakfast at this local diner. And it's been picked up by some Rowing Canada alums, where they've created a program where we get $10 a day. And so there's a set menu where we just wheel past the diner and pick up a little to-go meal. We used to sit in, obviously, before COVID, but now it's a little bit more strict with picking up your food and dashing. But yeah, and then I don't know. I really like eating as unprocessed food as I can at this point in my rowing career. I can no longer just scarf down a Domino's pizza and move on to the next. So I try to, I'll roast up a bunch of vegetables, cook up some rice.
Are you vegetarian?
No,
okay.
I'm not. But my girlfriend is sort of plant-based, a little bit more so than I am. But she shared some bacon with me this morning, though. So yeah,
busted.
Sort of the gateway meat, if you will.
It is. So you have like 2 breakfasts. Would you have 2 lunches and 2 dinners? What are we getting at?
Yeah. So I'll usually, let's say we're on a triple day practice, then I would have my first breakfast, then I'd get that diner breakfast, and then I'd come home and eat lunch, and then typically a snack before the next practice. And then I'd want to eat something relatively quick after the third practice, depending on what it is. If it's weights, it's like I'll have a big protein shake, and then typically dinner after that, and then maybe a little nighttime snack.
Ayo.
Yeah,
it's so funny. Every athete's so different as to what they eat. Like if I'm on the hill, I'm like, I have nuts in my pocket, and I forget about water sometimes.
Yeah, I could definitely be better at hydrating, I think. But I'm a bit of a camel, I suppose, at this point in my career.
Totally fair. Okay, number 7, your sport's taken you to a lot of different places. Is there one spot that you went traveling that you never thought you would go?
Let's see. I think the one that maybe jumps out to me is probably, Rio was one, now that I'm thinking of it. But when I was in high school, actually, we had just a really awesome group of people. We had a lot of athletes. We had like a men's 8 and a women's 8 that were all kind of in the same grade. So we had this great crew of people, and our parents had the big enough imaginations to organize a training camp to go down to the Cuban National Training Center, which was very cool. And so we got to go down to Cuba as high school kids and go train at the Cuban National Training Center and row up and down this like beautiful lake that was surrounded by sugarcane fields. And you had the Cuban national kayak and rowing team there, and they're just didn't have the greatest equipment, but you could tell that they had awesome work ethic, and they're just out there like throwing plates around and rowing as hard as they could. And it was cool too, because we had this awesome program where we ended up switching, like we hosted them back in Canada, and they came to the Royal Henley Regatta in St. Catharines, Ontario. And so they came and got to race in Canada, which was really neat. And, you know, we had such an amazing experience as high school kids in Cuba. Like, you can imagine, like, some of the days, like, we would be training a lot, obviously, but then our parents obviously wanted to go see Veradero and all these unbelievable places. And so they would, you know, sit on a patio and enjoy the Cuban rum and let a bunch of kids run around wild in Veradero. And I think I remember we all rented scooters and it was awesome. And then it just started to pour rain, but it just like filled the streets with water. And then we were just like hitting these puddles at like top speed on our scooters. And funny story, I remember I was riding this scooter and then it started to get a flat tire.
Oh.
And as a high school kid, I'm like, oh no, like what's happening now? So I ride it all the way back to the rental spot, and like I'm trying to speak broken Spanish and he's trying to speak broken English, and I'm trying to explain that there's a flat tire, and he tells me to go get it plugged at a gas station out the way. So I'm like driving this scooter with a flat all the way up to this gas station to try to get it plugged. Couldn't get it plugged, drive back, and I tell him like, no, like they wouldn't plug it, like I don't know what to say. And so then he like puts me to work for about 30 minutes, and I have to run back and forth and get scooters for him and collect all these scooters at the end of the day. Until finally I was like, all right, man, I'm done, I'm out of here. Just hoofed it back to my squad, and yeah, it was a hilarious time. But Cuba was awesome. It was a really awesome memory.
That's rad. You brought up the Henley Regatta in Ontario, and I'm so interested that it's called that, because I've been to the Henley Regatta in Henley on the Thames, but like why are they called the Henley Regatta in other places that is not Henley?
I think that in St. Catharines it's like Henley Island is the name of the island, and so I think
okay.
And for them both to be royal regattas, they are both sanctioned by the Queen, I guess. So I think there's some Commonwealth royalty stuff that I'm not quite privy to.
No, that makes sense. I just thought, are all the regattas named the Henley Regatta? But
no, just those
not.
two.
Okay.
Yeah. Common misconception.
Got it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Number 8.
Okay, yeah, jumping in with number 8 here. Do you have like a hero or someone you like look up to, either now, and if not now, maybe, I don't know, when you're growing up?
Yeah, I think maybe not just one hero, but when I was growing up and in high school, it was sort of like 2001, 2, 3, 4, and the Canadian men's 8 at the time was full of a bunch of guys who were current world champions and headed into Athens to, you know, go and finish off the quadrennial as world champions and then become Olympic champions. And so it was really cool because this guy named Kevin Light, who was the bow seat of the Beijing men's 8 that won gold, would make these videos, and he put them out just on a DVD. And I remember getting my hands on a copy of this DVD that had both these rowing videos that were just incredible and inspiring for a kid my age. And so I think all of the guys from that era were sort of people that I looked up to as I sort of, you know, became aware of my dream of becoming an Olympic champion at some point in my life. And so yeah, once those videos kind of got me thinking about it, and I had some really great teachers as well in high school and great coaches that pushed me in the right direction. Yeah, that's probably when I decided I was going to go for it. And so those guys would probably be my rowing idols now that they're retired and everything, but I still lean on them from time to time for, you know, wisdom and just be a sounding board when I can't think of the answers myself. Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense. Okay, number 9 is going to be a rapid answer.
Okay.
It's a very serious question. What is your feeling on socks and sandals?
Ooh, wool socks in Birkenstocks in the wintertime is okay, but I would say otherwise it's a big no-no.
Ah, yes.
What did you say? Boat socks or bull socks?
Wool socks.
Wool.
Socks.
Oh.
People
if
do
you're
that
like-
a lot. They do.
If you're around the house and you're wearing your wool socks and you got to slip outside for a little bit, I'm okay with it.
Perfect.
Especially like on the West Coast, you can get away with it. Especially in Victoria, it's it's a bit of a granola town at times. So, but I imagine you'd get arrested in Toronto if you did it or something. So.
The fashion police would be out in full force.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Good. Okay, final one, number 10. Super pumped to watch you in Tokyo. How are you feeling about it?
I feel great. Yeah. I mean, now that the qualifier's done, like if you'd asked me a couple of weeks ago, I would have been like, don't ask me that. I gotta focus on this qualifier. But I mean, we sort of had some stressful stuff leading up to that, obviously, like I said, but now the guys all feel really loose. Like we're all just having a great time as we head into this, and it feels like we're on track. Oftentimes you'll go into a summer of racing, and I like to compare it to, you're surfing a wave, and if you're in the right spot, you're going to pop up and ride the wave beautifully. But if, you're too far forward, that wave's going to smash you. Mm-hmm. And if you're too far back, you're just going to fall off the lip of it and miss the wave. And it feels to me like we're right in the pocket and doing the right things, and our coach is setting us up really well. So yeah, I feel really good right now. The guys feel really good. I think we just got to, stay healthy in this final week before we leave. Mm-hmm. And I don't feel like anything can stop us right now from our best performance. So I'm super fired up for that. Yeah, it's exciting.
I can't wait. Yeah.
Yeah.
When do you head over?
We head over on July 1st.
July 1st.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's coming up, and we're going to go to a city called Sagamihara, which is a bit east of Tokyo, and do kind of 2 weeks there and adapt to the heat and the time change, and just hopefully get some of those travel nerves out of the way and settle in, and fired up just talking about it.
So excited.
I
feel like our heat wave right now is going to help you with the heat in Tokyo. Martha, you're just over the mountains from us, but this week's going to be like a hot one out west in Canada.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Amazing.
We're also just training up in a place called Strathcona Park, which is just incredible. Like this lake that's, 40 kilometers long with mountains on every side of it. And we had this sauna where we were staying at the lodge, so we could go in and out of the sauna all night long, and we're like, this is going to help us with the heat for sure.
Yes,
good
to prepare.
It was awesome.
Well, I wish you all the best of luck, and I really, really cannot wait to watch you. And I thank you so much for dropping in with us today. Where can people find you online if they want to follow everything that you're doing?
Yeah, you can find me on Will Crothers 2020, I guess, on Instagram. I don't really use Twitter as much. I'm super big on MySpace these days.
Yes, MySpace.
I guess Instagram would probably be the best way to find me.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for dropping in, and you will see Martha in Tokyo.
All right.
But I will be over here cheering you on.
Okay, sounds good. Great to catch
up
with you
luck,
guys.
Will.
That was awesome.
I don't know about you, but I've been having a really good time interviewing the Team Canada athletes. And I'm so excited to be partnered with Sway because obviously I'm pretty real to who I am, and so are the athletes that we've been chatting to. Sway is going to be donating to Can Fund, an organization that directly supports Team Canada's athletes. Sway is made with real juice and real good vibes. Honestly, you're going to want to taste this vodka soda. It's different from the others. Sway is a delicious tasting vodka soda with nothing to hide. Cheers. Thanks so much for dropping in. You can find all the dropping in episodes on the Dean Blundell Network or on your preferred podcast network, where you can subscribe and not miss an episode.